Primal Survivors is a top-down roguelike shooter. The game was previously released on Steam and is now available on the PlayStation 4 and 5, the latter of which is what I played on, as well as the Xbox One and Series systems. Comps for this game: Vampire Survivors, Army of Ruin. Basically those auto shooters, but it's kind of like those if you want a sore finger. Heavy elements of Vampire Survivors, the main difference being this game is not an auto shooter like Survivors or Ruin. You aim and manually fire your weapon of choice. Big disclaimer up front, because this is not an auto shooter. You will need to repeatedly pull the trigger on your own, which has its benefits and disadvantages. The 16-bit vibes are pretty clean and clear, especially on the PS5. Load times, not noticeable if they even exist at all on the 5. As with the previously mentioned games, waves of enemies come along with increasing difficulty as your time climbs towards your predetermined time limit. Leveling works similar to the others in this genre. What's funny for me is playing this one on the 5 when I played Vampire Survivors on my phone, and boy, did my phone battery love those 30-minute run times. Army of Ruin was on my Switch, so it was pretty good seeing this one on the big screen. And I gotta say, it was kind of fun in that regard. I'm sure Vampire Survivors has a similar element, but I really do think this game made the most of the PS5 graphics as far as refresh rates and animation frames were concerned, so pretty solid there. Each level, you get a chance to pick one of 3 randomized cards. It was pretty easy to stack abilities. Pick a poison attack. A few turns later, you get a boon that causes enemies impacted by poison to take damage for longer. Another pull or 2 after that, you can have the poison spread between enemies. So on and so forth. Pretty common for a lot of roguelike games, but I think the stacking was pretty fun in that regard here. The cards that pulled spirits were generally a priority for me in gameplay. I felt like they gave me the most advantages for what it was worth. The one thing I'll say with this game, beyond the sore finger and concern for my PlayStation controller's health from the trigger button, I will say the hitboxes could be a bit frustrating. There's an extremely large woolly mammoth boss, for instance. They were nearly impossible to get around. They took up such a large portion of the screen. The main health you start with is just 3 pure hits. You may, over the course of time, recover one of those hearts, but it's an extremely long amount of time to start with there. Again, that's the kind of thing's going to happen with the roguelike genre, though. So you build up your boons over time, but I will say it's really limited when it comes to the health with the buffs and the boons. Still rough to go with. All that said, it's $5 on Steam, $5 pretty much everywhere. Where can you go wrong when you're playing an indie for $5, right?